This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Live from Bay 6. I'm Kevin Harris. Today's special guest is Bruce Kurnow. Bruce has a very interesting nickname. He's known as the Creeper. I'm not sure why though. Got it. So Bruce, welcome to Live from Bay 6.
Well, thanks for having me here, Kevin.
Our pleasure. You get to be in the hot seat this time instead of in the band.
I am in the hot seat.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is obviously a much colder climate than here.
So what was your growing up experience like back there?
My dad he had many different careers. He was working a lot, and my mom, when my older brother was born, stopped working and was kind of taking care of the household. And we lived in kind of a quiet neighborhood. You know, my dad played piano his whole life, so that's how I got introduced to at a very young age to music, and so that music became part of my life real early on.
When did you start playing, do you think?
Well, I tried to play piano when I was about a year and a half old. I'd climb up on the piano bench, and I can actually remember this far back that I'd get up on the bench, I'd crawl up there, it would take me a while, and then I'd just hit one note and just listen to it, and it would ring, for however many minutes, and I just loved the sound of just a single note. So, but I started actually taking lessons when I was about 3. Mm-hmm. And it just kept going, from there.
That's pretty early.
It's pretty young, yeah.
And I imagine trying to get those little 3-year-old hands on a keyboard and
right. To play an octave instead of just hitting it, I had to, roll my hand, as fast as I could, so it sounded like they were happening at the same time.
So you started with piano, mm-hmm. and then you play all these other instruments and mm-hmm. so forth. When did they start to appear?
When I was about 14, I started to play harmonica, because I had been taking classical piano, although I was listening to a lot of different kind of music. But when I got into blues and mm-hmm. R&B and all that, I loved the harmonica, hearing somebody that could really play
right.
it. So I wanted to try to do it, but I couldn't figure it out at first because I couldn't find a teacher. So I finally found a book that explained some stuff, and then watching people play on TV with the harmonica and the holder, I could kind of see some of the motions you have to make with your jaw and everything to. So it started to make more sense, and so I just kept working on it from that point on.
So that was harmonica.
Yeah.
Then when did the harp show up?
Oh, the harp. That was when I was in my mid-20s. I first started to play harp. I think when I think back on it, I think it's from watching the old Marx Brothers movies that I always loved Harpo, and he could really play. I mean, he was phenomenal, and the way that they worked in the harp with their comedy, but they could have either like a harp segment that was still in the comedy thing, or it could be very serious, or very beautiful, and I always enjoyed that, and I think when I was young, I kind of had that in my mind, that maybe at some point I'd try that, but it wasn't like I was saying until I was in my mid-20s, and I started studying. I took classical lessons with a few different teachers.
So when did writing your own compositions on whatever instrument you were on at the time, when did that start coming into the picture?
Well, the beginnings of it were pretty early on, but it was mostly took the form of improvisations that I never really created songs out of, but I think I was trying to, but I was still pretty young, because my mom likes to tell this story that when I was practicing my classical lessons, that one day I said to her, I don't want to play anybody else's chicken scratchings on paper. And so after I'd get warmed up, if I'd been practicing for a couple hours, I felt really warmed up, I'd start going off on some other thing that, like I say, it didn't really finish into a song, but it was kind of the beginnings of me wanting to write. And it wasn't until I was maybe about 17 or 18 that I actually wrote some songs with lyrics, and then later on started working on some instrumental material too.
There's sort of a fine line between improvisation and writing.
Right.
It's like, when does one stop and the other one begin, kind of thing, So it's like you're pretty much coming up with something from scratch, either way, so.
Yeah.
So tell us about this first song. It's called Dance With My Ancestors, right?
Yes. This song came about because my wife Carol is a statistician, and she belongs to a statistical organization. And when we got married and she changed her name, she noticed that there was somebody else in the directory with the same last name, which our family's very small, so we didn't know about this person. And right after she saw that, she got an email from him. She said, and this fellow said, "Are we related?" And as it turns out, he's my dad's second cousin.
Wow.
And we never even knew about that whole branch of the family. And that side of the family is mostly Russian people. And so, kind of in honor of our family sort of becoming twice as big as we ever knew it was, I wrote this song that has a definite Russian feel to it as a solo harmonica piece. And so that's kind of what sparked the idea to write this kind of piece.
So, what is life like today for you?
Well, I keep busy. I've been doing music full time, basically my whole life, and so as you know, it's sort of an endless thing. There's all these different areas where everything's a full time thing if you want to make it that way. You know, the recording part, the writing part, performing. Aside from the music stuff, I like to do photography and do some hiking and things like that.
Obviously, carving out time for music is not a problem for you because that's what you do all the time.
Right.
So with that, when you have a lot of various projects that you're doing, so I know you have an album here, and you have toured, and
right.
So over the years when you were doing touring and live performing and things like that, what was that like?
Well, early on, when I was in my early 20s, I joined a country rock group, Mason Prophet, and we toured 300 towns per year.
Wow.
And this was before there were sleeper coach buses, so you were sitting up in a seat, driving all night after night. And I liked it at first, but I started to get really, really worn down, even though I was still pretty young. But it was a good group, and I always enjoyed it. And it was good to do that much touring early on. It kind of made it where other things didn't seem quite as difficult later as they might have been, because that's sort of like boot camp for...
Like if you can survive that, anything after that is duck soup, right? Yeah.
Right.
So when you are in a writing mode, which is probably pretty often, I would imagine, what is that process like for you? What do you do?
Well, I'd say most of the time, we were talking about this before, about the improvisational factor. A lot of times I'll just start playing, but I always record it because even if I remember the melody and chord changes, I might not remember the feel exactly that I was playing. So I always make sure I record everything.
So the second song you're going to do for us is Moving On. So this is kind of an interesting combination because you're doing both the harp and the harmonica.
Right.
So tell us where this one came from.
Well, when I started to play the harp, I immediately wanted to play harmonica with it because I'd been playing harmonica and piano combination stuff for a long time, and I was used to playing with the harmonica on a holder, but I couldn't play the stringed harp well enough at first to do it without getting totally confused. And then I ended up getting a job where I was playing 7 days a week, and that went on for a few years, and it was a harp. And they actually wanted me to do harp and harmonica combination. So,
what are the odds?
Yeah, I went and played for this fellow who was the entertainment director for this place, and I didn't know what to expect because it's not exactly a normal combination. But luckily he liked it, and he put me in this spot, and I just did it day after day, and I had a chance. In that situation to play some things off the top of my head. I didn't have to stick with my set list. If I felt like I had an idea, I could do it. And so this song started as an improvisation, playing actually out in public, and then as I played it more, then I finished it just kind of one piece at a time. The harp and harmonica thing. It has been kind of an interesting thing because I never expected, actually, when I started to play harp, that I would even go out in public and play. I just wanted to play the instrument for my own enjoyment. And then it ended up that a lot of the work I've done has involved that, or the combination of the two.
So tell us about your recording process, because I know you have your own setup.
Right. Right. What I did was I duplicated my digital audio workstation setup onto a laptop, so I can go remotely somewhere else with it, which has really helped.
Well, I think it's really cool the way you have it set up, because I know you guys have a place up in the mountain, and then, so you can take a bare minimum amount of stuff up there and do your thing, and then wherever else you need to go, you can do it. So, and you can do that these days. It's kind of a cool time to keep doing
I do like
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. You have, shall I say, a collection of albums out there in the world. What do you have?
Well, I've done 42 recordings, most of them solo. A few have been with other people as duo records. I just love making records, so I keep doing them, and I try to do a couple a year if I can.
Now, one of the things that's in your catalog that I know of is an album that you did with your dad.
Right.
What kind of an album did you guys do?
Well, my dad is a really great stride piano player. He calls it Chicago style stride. He's been playing since he was, I think, 5 years old. And he did we've done 2 recordings, and the very first one, he was 89 when he did his first CD. And we were recording, and I was getting tired, and I said, Dad, you want to take a break? He said, no, I'm fine. Let's keep going. I said, okay.
All these bazillions of albums that you've done, where can people find them?
Of the ones that I released myself, which there's a whole bunch, they're all on CD Baby, and then iTunes, and pretty much all of the download companies. And then I have a website, and what happens if you go on my website and see something, you can hear sound samples. If you click on it, it'll take you to CD Baby.
So tell us about the song called Everything.
When me and Carol first got together, she was over at my house in the studio, and she was sleeping on the couch, and I was just thinking, I really like this person really a lot. I like everything about her. And I started writing this song while she was right there, and I didn't want to make it like a real heavy love song, but I wanted to kind of show how some day-to-day normal things can translate into that same kind of feeling. And when you're with somebody all day long, that's nice if you like everything about that person. So that's where the song came from, and I actually wrote it fairly fast. Most of it was kind of just came out.
I like the way you comb your hair in the morning. I like the way you smile at me with your sleepy eyes in the evening. And everything in between moves me. I like the words you say to me in the morning. I like the way you love me with your bright eyes in the evening. And everything in between moves me. You're the bright one in my life, I know. All my love is all I want to show. The bright one in my life, I know. All my love is all And I like the way we fall asleep in each other's arms in the evening. And everything, everything, everything in between moves me. Everything, everything, everything in between moves me. Everything, everything, everything.
Well, that's our show for today. I'd like to thank our special guest, Bruce Kurnow. It's been great to have him come over and play all his great stuff for us. If you'd like to get a hold of Bruce's music and find out more about Bruce, visit our website and go to the Live from Basics show page. And if you'd like to get one of our cool Live from Basics t-shirts, visit our store. Well, that's it for us. We're out of here. We'll see you next time.
Well, that's harp, harmonica, and keyboards where you have to kind of stick your chest out near your neck and you look like a chicken.
Well, that's our show for today. Shut up, Carol. She's making me. Well, that's our show for today. We'd like to sit over there. She's like right there, giggling away. Go to our store and we'll have all the information.